Well, today I'm kind of wondering about, as somebody who's worked in the mental health field for over 3 decades with some really down and out folks, everybody I've worked with has a history of trauma of some type. And, I stepped out of that world. I'm stepping into this world where I'm trying to blend a lot of my evidence-based practice and, Western learning, as I call it, more of that objective science approach, and blend that with more of the metaphysical esoteric or what science calls pseudosciences. So, I'm trying to blend those two together. And what I'm noticing, JoAnn, and this is where my question is for you, is in many spiritual circles, we talk about what in clinical circles we call symptoms of trauma. In metaphysical circles or spiritual circles, we talk about the same symptoms as spiritual gifts. So an example is ear ringing. So victims of trauma often have ringing in their ears, whether they've had a head trauma or not, whether it's sexual abuse, so it's not necessarily a trauma to their head that is neurologically, biologically, physiologically causing ear ringing, but it could be emotional abuse. It could be any other form of abuse, right? And so they have a really high incidence of ear ringing. And when I've noticed that in the spiritual community, we all talk about our ear ringing and we think we're getting a download, or we say, we're going to be up leveling to a higher level of ascension. And I've just been I'm curious, this is something, I would typically bring to you. I'm trying to stay open-minded, and I'm working really hard at looking at a third way. Like, it doesn't have to be either or, it can be this and this. But I just, here, help.
Well, here's where I would go with that. I read someplace not too long ago where they said, if your ear's ringing, it's a download if you just stop and listen, and it goes on for a little bit and then it stops. And then maybe it'll start again for just a few minutes and then it'll stop and it'll be done. Now, why couldn't your trauma people, why couldn't the ear ringing be a download to help support them through what they had opted to go through this lifetime? Why does it have to be either or? Now, I know I've got a sister who has ear ringing and vertigo, so she's not going to fit into that. It's going to be a mental or a physical thing. And a lot of your people, it was exactly what you thought it was. But on the other hand, it could have been a little mixture of both. And that was how their higher self was communicating with them, so that at some level they knew they were not all by themselves.
You challenged me.
Well, I don't mean, it's just a thought,
Well, it's more than just a thought, but yeah, and there's so many more examples. And at this point in my ascension, I don't believe it's one or the other, that it has to be black and white, that, and again, I'm talking about ear ringing that they can't find any neurological, physiological reason for. And yeah, and there's also this idea that victims of trauma, whether it's you know, war trauma, mugging, you know, just living in horrible conditions, physical, sexual, emotional, verbal abuse, that those folks that endure that are more advanced souls, perhaps, because they chose this in a past life coming in. They wanted to feel these horrible things,
They wanted to have that experience.
you know, yeah. And so, go ahead.
Good. Well, and maybe it was a balancing act, you know, that they had in other lifetimes been very, maybe particularly cruel to those who were having those experiences. Or quite the opposite. Maybe they were very good with them. But they came in to do a balancing act to where they had experienced both sides of an issue.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically what we do, is we come in to balance our souls, you know, and we're not supposed to hang on to all these emotions. We're supposed to have the experience, which brings us closer and closer to godlike, Christ-like,
Mm-hmm.
and out of judgment, totally out of judgment.
I'm giving you that look, JoAnn. Let's pull a card.
Okay.
You want to stick with the 7 energies?
Works for me.
Your favorite
I
deck?
like those. Yeah.
I had them ready this time. And this hopefully will. I feel like I'm still missing something. I hear what you're saying. And I like what you're saying, and I understand it intellectually, but there's something I'm missing still in here around it.
Yeah. And
or maybe it's in here around it. These two are maybe not integrating.
there you go. But when you figure that out, I'd love to hear what you come up with.
You know, you'll be the first. So what are you thinking about a question?
I don't know. Let's ask what people need to hear today. You know, everything's still in turmoil. Everybody's letting go of stuff, and that isn't usually real pleasant when you're going through it. Even though when you once you do it and you get on the other side of it, it's like, oh, it took me so long to do that. But everybody's kind of stuck in certain belief patterns. And I keep saying there's some things going to come out that are going to bring every one of us to our knees, probably. But it's all going to cross over to being very good. But what do we need to talk about? What can we do to lighten the whole situation a little bit? Let's lighten up to where people can open up a little bit more instead of being so restricted or dense.
I like that. What do we need to know about lightening up?
Yeah.
Our energies, our density.
We both get struck by lightning right now.
Ooh, I've never pulled this one. It's called Call of the Muse. It's number 31.
CALM? Oh,
no, C-A-L
Call of the Muse.
Of the Muse.
Oh, dance.
Dancing in the heavens.
Yeah, look at those colors.
I know. A lot of purples and blues and pinks, and yeah.
I think of a sense of humor about right now. What does muse mean? M-U-S-E.
Muse is from like Greek mythology, and it was a being that helped you create, you know, like, and people use that word now, like writers or artists or dancers, when sometimes they'll get in a love relationship and say that person's their muse and inspires them to create.
Oh, okay.
So
well, it made me think that I've heard it that way before.
Right. It's somebody that inspires you. It doesn't have to be a person.
Yeah.
Nature can be your muse.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is number 31. The key concepts are creative expression, being in the flow of creativity, tuning into inspiration, allowing creativity without being self-conscious, writing and journaling as a means of connection. When you feel the call of the muse, you are being invited to create, to be the artist choreographing your life, serving on behalf of the great artist, divine source. While the process feels intensely personal, your ego and self-identification are, ironically, the most unnecessary parts of the equation. While you might think you own the magic of your creativity, can you truly say you're the source of the inspiration? Similar to the spirit of genius from card 29, imagine your creativity stemming from another spirit guide, the muse. Just as the genius needs to partner with your intellect, so too does the muse need to open your heart and let magic flow through your intuition and emotions. Stop seeing yourself as the center of the process and instead see yourself as a partner in a creative dance. Sometimes you might be inside the music and the feelings, the story, and its expression. Other times you observe from the sidelines, watching it all flow from an unknown yet deeply intimate source. Today, your muse is calling you to be a channel and allow the creative energy to flow through you. The energy of emotion is waiting to be given a voice, a name, a shape, or a color. Journal, finish that writing project, start something new, paint, sing, dance, and don't worry where any of it lands. It has its own plans for you. Your muse knows where this is all meant for you to go. For you, the big magic is in the experience of answering the call. So what do we need to do to lighten the energy? We need to get creative.
Absolutely. Be in the moment. Do what you like to do and not be worrying about what's going on anywhere.
How do you shift? How do you shift? You know, those people that, you know, have 3 kids, are working, have, you know, a spouse, and they're trying to do their best, and they're out in the world, and, you know, they're dealing with all this stuff. How do you shift from being that doing person and taking care of everything to allowing your creative, you know, energy to just flow wildly?
You start out by giving yourself 10 minutes of yourself.
Just
10 minutes. If you have to get up at midnight and do it, give yourself that 10 minutes. You know, that's what you have. If you'll take one step forward, the universe will totally start showing you the way. But you got to show an interest. You can't just go around saying, oh my God, I haven't got another minute in the day to do this, that, or the other. How long are you on your phone?
Yeah.
How long are you sitting in front of the TV? Even if you got 3 kids, a job, and everything else, you know, when it's time to relax, is that where you go to, is to the TV and the phone? Try doing something a little different. Make an effort. Make an effort, especially you know, the hour or so before you go to bed. You really need to be off of TV, phones, everything. Pick up a good book. Pick up a book that expands your mind. Get out your paints. Do what you love. Feel the joy, because there's loads of joy on this planet right now.
Yeah.
It depends on whether that's what we want to look at and that's what we want to be in the middle of, or if we want to watch the news and be in the middle of that.
Right.
Or get with our little coffee clutch and talk about how bad everything is. You know, we're making our own worlds.
Right. Right.
But
Yeah.
it is, you got to make that first step. You got to take that first step, because if you haven't got enough gumption to do that, then why would the universe interfere?
Interesting. I've always struggled with, well, the universe should just know, God should just know what I need and what is good for me and send me that way. But this whole concept of, we kind of have to give that message. We have to put that message out there that we want that, or else that spirit world won't interfere with us. Because that's very contrary to the religious faith I was brought up in, right?
Sure,
Um,
sure. It's all around intent. The universe is neutral. There is no right or wrong. They will give you whatever you desire.
mhm.
And how you feel about something, that's your desire. If you want something, they'll let you want it. They'll help you want it forever, So your wording has to be in there, but it's totally neutral. You're put here in lesson to experience. And so, yeah, you put a foot forward and say, you know what? I intend that, number one, I heal physically.
Mhm.
Number two, I feel more joy in my life. I look around and I see the joy. When all you have to do is intend, and the ball will start to roll.
Mhm.
The ball will start to roll. But it wouldn't be much of a lesson if the universe just stepped in and did everything that they thought we needed, or or we thought they could read our minds. And so they just place things for us. I mean, my truth, we made the arrangements. We made all the major things we wanted to experience, but how we react to those major situations
Mhm.
are up to us. That's where free will is. And we can get all the help we need if we just put the intention out there.
So the free will part is in our reaction to
Abs-
our experiences.
Absolutely. Once again, no good, no bad. We got forever.
It's hard work, but you make it sound like it's doable.
Yeah,
Um,
good, because it is doable.
Taking the concepts you talk about, which sound fabulous, and I, we all want what you talk about, but then, where do you start? How do you actually put that into practice? What does that look like? So, I like those little small 10-minute increments, and then, go from there.
Right.
I know I used to set my alarm throughout the day on my cell phone when I was in another kind of world situation. No matter where I was, it would, go off, and it would, I'd breathe, and I would just get regrounded. Or I did a lot of driving at one time in my job, and every time I was in the car, I set intention. The car was almost like my sanctuary in my church, if you will. And I would sing at the top of my lungs, or just laugh, really loud, because I was by myself. And so those are little things that we can squeeze in throughout the day.
Absolutely. And setting your phone alarm is an excellent idea, whether it's to breathe or whether it's to take 5 minutes, or whatever you want to do to show your intention that you want more.
Right.
Yeah, set that phone, use it for that.
Right.
And pretty soon you won't need to anymore.
And I used to, like, if I was in a session with a client and my phone would go off, depending on the client, I would share with them that I did that I set it so that I would just get regrounded. And so I had a few of them doing that with me. When my alarm would go off, we would do it together. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
That experience.
A nice thing to share.
Yeah. And we've talked about it before. It's important to have community, to have people that if they don't hear from you in a couple of days, check in. And say,
Right.
hello, is your head up your ass, or what's going on? You know?
Yeah. Right. Right.
So, yeah. All right. Well, this is a good card to lead into an activation meditation for us. What do you think?
I think that's great. I think you can hold that card up there, put it on your thing for a little bit too, because that's a beautiful visual for where we could go. So, so let's start with our heart breaths. Once again, it never has to take a long time to get centered. You know, things taking a long time is what keep people from taking the time. So you make a practice and you intend that when you take that heart breath, you instantly go into a quiet space. And you see the light of your Christ. You see that it fills your body. It's already, your body stays filled with that light always. And you just breathe into it and help it to grow even larger to where it goes out from you. It goes out around the world, saturating the Mother Earth. And look into the stream of that golden white light as it's going towards the earth. And look at what we are sending today. And remember the colors. We've got new colors coming in. We've got dancers. We've got artists. We've got drummers. We have jokesters. We have memes. Just look at the creativity flowing through that light that you are sharing. You are sharing with the great Mother Earth. You are sending that light. That is your power. You are sending that light and sharing that joy and that lightness and that flow of creativity into all of the Mother Earth, especially the little shadow corners. Take a deep breath and see all of that also coming back into your body, into your heart. All this color that is just, it's moving, it's spiraling, it's sparkling. It's like sparklers on 4th of July. And and you've got a very, very colorful, suddenly there's this amazing, colorful butterfly that is heading for your heart space. And as it just goes into your heart, it unlocks some joy that you are overlooking, some piece of creativity that you could be using. And your whole heart lights up. Your entire heart lights up. Everything is in the moment. That is how we get to light. And joy is living in the moment. There's nothing happening other than in this very moment. So realize that and sit. Know that that butterfly, that creativity, that joy is always, always in your heart. You just simply need to open up your heart and let it flow out into whatever is happening in your life that moment. And as you change, the Mother Earth changes. And the inhabitants of Mother Earth changes because we're all one. We're all one. And our light and our love is our power and our joy and our peace. When you wrap your arms around your children, hug heart to heart and share this beauty with them. Share it with your neighbor. Share the love, share the light. There's a million ways to do it. And it takes us so much closer to peace on earth, to paradise. None of the rest of it's real. So take another heart breath. See that your heart has even grown larger in a very good way, a very spiritual way. And lock it in. It is done.
And so it is. It's very refreshing. I loved the butterfly coming into my heart. That was a beautiful image.
Excellent. Excellent.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Until next week. I love
Namaste.
Namaste.
I love you.